G'day, legends. Welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me is Liam in the brightest football shirt I think I've seen in the last 6 months, and Shane. How you going, Liam? Tell us about the
Good.
shirt.
Right, this just arrived yesterday. Actually, it's a Mexico goalkeeper shirt. I think it was a 2022 issue, but it's based on those wild ones that Jorge Campos used to wear back in the 90s. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Happy days. And Shane, thanks for hosting the pods last week while I was away on a work trip, so I appreciate that. How you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm great, mate, and it was an absolute pleasure. And shout out to everyone who tuned in and everyone who went easy on me. It was really appreciated. But no, I'm good, mate. Still reveling in a couple of sporting results that went my way over the weekend, including an amazing basketball comeback yesterday by the Phoenix, which I still can't believe happened. So I'm in a pretty good mood, mate.
Okay, so for everyone who has no idea about Australian basketball, I think it was five straight losses to start the season for the Phoenix, dead last in the ladder. They sacked their coach. They brought someone else in, and they've just been on the up and up the rest of the season and managed to get through the play-in phases to get into the finals. So great effort by them. So of course you're buzzing, Shane.
Absolutely, mate.
But anyway, back to the Celtic talk. So we'll bring up some comments here. Oh yeah, g'day McLaughlin. Paul, Birrell, hail. Jerry Burns, how are we today, lads? Doing well, mate. Smell the glove, hail, BMX Bandits. Legend. And there we go. We got morning evening folks from Henrik McLaughlin. Work trip. Yeah, it was. Long story short. But anyway. And Andrew's saying Shana did a great job.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hail. And what's the top today, Liam?
Mexico goalkeeper.
So basically, we only really have two main things to talk about. But in the middle, we're going to give Liam free reign to discuss a topic that he's done on his first ever Axe on blogs. So I had to read through that before I skimmed through. I haven't read it properly, but what I want to do is we'll start off with Celtic 3, Dundee United 0. So starting lineups was Casper in goals, Ralston at right back, Team America in the centre backs, and Schlupp on the left. Midfield of Rio, Kalmack, and Luke. Up front, Ida with Jota and Yang either side. So when I saw that, I'm like, interesting rotation. I can understand why though. Big Champions League game coming up. So yeah. Shane, what was your thoughts when you saw that lineup?
The changes made complete sense to me. So you had Schlupp and Jota come in on the left, and I think that makes sense because that's getting the match ready for the game against Bayern Munich. We'll get into that a bit later, but those two for me are clear starters for that fixture. Yang, showed a fair bit against Munich. He's been in some somewhat decent form, so I think he deserved to get a crack and give Corn a little bit of rest. And AJ, he puts in a mountain of work every match day, so it's always good to be able to give him a little bit of a rest. And we've always commented on how Ralston is a more than suitable backup, particularly at premiership level. So all the changes made sense to me, and I wasn't surprised by that lineup in the slightest.
And Liam, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was smart to give Dyson a rest. Although we all know he doesn't need it. But yeah, no, it was a good balance. It shows the depth of squad that we have now, and we still won the game comfortably. So there was no noticeable drop in quality either. In fact, it was one of our better games this season, I think.
Yeah, so overall, I just want to have to agree with what you're saying there, Liam, but I was just looking at it on twofold, right? So watching the game and then watching the replay back just before we went live, the ball movement is looking quicker. I spoke about it probably, I don't know, during the transfer window. I think we did, Shane, where I was saying we've got to bring back that one-touch football, try and get a bit more of that, and we're starting to see that. But it also helps having Jota on one wing who can beat a man. both inside and outside. So that gives you a bit more balance, and it opens up the middle of the park a bit more for Eder to get in and isolate against the centre back in one-on-one. So I'm just looking at it going, the type of football that we're playing is some pretty sexy football, let's be honest. And even with a lot of our squad players and like getting the Bricky in there, giving Schlupp a run out, getting Luke starting. Luke's good enough to start in the league, no question at all, right? So, and then even Yang, right? Like getting him out there. I don't think we lost too much with that lineup. And it's good that we can freshen players up and keep our speed and our performance up, particularly in that first half. I thought we were going really well. But when I look at the stats overall, Shane, like 21 shots, 7 on target, 77% possession, 700 passes with a 91% pass accuracy, and only 4 offsides. Like, you put all that together, and that's a pretty comprehensive situation there. So what was your thoughts on the first half, Shane?
Well, I think the word I would use to describe our first half performance was comfortable. We were comfortable. We controlled the game pretty much from the off. I agree with the comments around the ball movement. I like the way that ball was pinging around the park. I love the midfield dynamic. Every time they put Luke McCowan in there, particularly when they put him alongside Rio, I really love that energy that he brings. And he was important once again, picking up a lot of spaces just in those midfield pockets, getting those little pockets of space, helping create space, which he did for Kalmak's goal. But we just controlled the game. And I think part of that was also just how poor, to comment on our opposition, how poor Dundee United actually set up. So they were clearly sitting back. They were trying to sort of play a bit of a low block. It wasn't very effective. In fact, there was noticeable space between sort of their two forwards when they were behind the ball, and in their midfield quartet. And that space we were just able to play through with ease every time. And I think that really contributed to the control that we had. And that said, that we still looked very good. We still looked very good going forward, moving the ball. One of the highlights for the first half for me was the link up on the left between Schlupp and Jota. I really loved the way that those two worked together. They seem to already have a little bit of an understanding in terms of, Schlupp when to make that run inside, when to hold his run, Jota when to stay wide. And that was something I really enjoyed. But yeah, overall, I think we very much were comfortable in that first half and controlled the game.
And Liam, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I would very much agree with that. I think McCowan looks better every time he plays. He just seems to be really growing into that role. And, well, I'm just going to say it. I think in the fullness of time, we might have our Callum McGregor successor there. I think he's showing signs of it. If anything, although Kalmak scored a beautiful goal at the weekend, I actually think McCowan offers a little bit more in an attacking sense as well. So that is another element to his game that will improve the squad overall. And to talk about Dundee United for a second, I think this might sound daft, but it was almost as if they had a preset strategy for Celtic and they didn't change it to account for the fact that Jota's back because they seem to have no idea how to deal with him. And that low block does not work when you've got a guy who can beat a man. Because the whole thing with the low block is if the winger beats one guy, he's in. And, well, that's what happened. So it's they didn't adapt to our changing squad. And that's where being able to make personnel changes without weakening the overall shape of the team is really good, because you can do things like that and catch teams cold. We clearly caught Dundee United. They didn't know what to make of it, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, and on that, Liam, like talking about everything, like we'll make changes and we caught him cold. Like Andrew Galea is saying, Schlupp looks a steady footballer, and then he also says, I love seeing Ralston get a run. And for me, Schlupp and Taylor, I don't really see much of a muchness there. They're pretty much just as good as each other. One does one thing, some things better than the others. So it's pick your poison. Whatever Brendan needs, he can go with whatever. Does he want someone with a bit more size, a bit more physicality? Then he plays Schlupp. If he wants someone to invert, he's got Taylor for that. So it gives him options. It's the same with Ralston and Johnson. Like You look at Ralston, very serviceable for the Scottish League. I love the fact that he doesn't carry on. He just gets out there, gets on with the job. And he pretty much knows his limitations. Like, he is a backup at Celtic, but he doesn't complain. He doesn't carry on. He just does the job. And I love the Bricky for that. So, as Maestro 95 saying, the squad seems to be strong. It's all in the mindset.
Yeah.
So I'll go through a few more comments. So Heavy Vibes is saying we look faster with Luke and Jota.
Yeah, definitely.
Smell the Glove saying McCowan had a great game. And question from Heavy Vibes, Shane, is Yang coming good? Where's Dan when we need him? Because he's the ultimate leader of the Yang gang.
He's definitely looking a lot better. He's starting to grow into, I guess, the player we'd all kind of hoped that he would. We're definitely seeing more than just glimpses now. There were still moments on the weekend where I think sort of that lack of quality and touch shone through. There was particularly a moment in the second half where he was on the break and he could have played Jota in, and he ended up earning a free kick on the edge of the box, but he really should have played Jota in, who would have been in on goal. And it was just those kind of moments. But look, he's not Dyson Maeda, don't get me wrong, but one of the things when Dyson first came to Celtic, some of the things that we used to get frustrated by was, you know, his poor first touch and his poor sort of quality final ball or shot on goal. And I think we're starting to see Yang develop into a bit of a player where that's the last kind of, I guess, item to correct basically in his repertoire. You know, his movement's good. His energy's great. I love the energy he brings. And I think he's getting into the right areas. I think if he can just fine tune that quality, he's definitely got a role to play in this team going forward for many seasons to come.
The way I see it with Yang, Shane, is that Brendan has been on record saying he wants bigger athletic players, strong athletic players. Yang fits the bill on that front, in my opinion. Compared to other wingers, he's big and he's strong. He doesn't mind clattering people, and he'll take a clattering. So he's basically our winger version of the Bricky, in my opinion. Doesn't have much of the skill and the technical ability, but is good enough to do a job against certain teams. Now, would I play Yang against Bayern Munich? Hell no. But against St Johnstone away, is Yang good enough? Yes. Against Dundee United, is he good enough to do a job so he can rotate guys? Yes. So he's at that point now where when Jamesy Forrest comes back, who's going to be your fourth string winger? Because we all know it's Maeda, it's Kun, and it's Jota. They're your first three, depending on the formation and where Maeda's put in it. Fourth string, who's that going to be? Is that going to be Yang? Is that going to be Forrest? Who knows? But he's getting to that level. Liam, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, he's definitely progressing. And, you know, I've been saying all along, I think there's a player in there. And I'm glad that that's starting to shine through. But it's a good point you raise about the physicality, because that is one thing that, again, I'm generalizing here, but if you watch a typical K-League Korean player as opposed to a typical J-League Japanese player, the Korean game is more physical. They do have more dig about them, and I think you can see that with Yang. He does have that physical presence, which is something different on the wing, and he is to Jota and Dyson what Tony Ralston is to Alistair Johnson, right? Perfectly serviceable backup at Scottish League level. Absolutely no issues with playing him in any Scottish domestic game. Because, you know, we do have some tough games in this league, you know, and Rangers. So,
but yeah, like on that, Liam, look, the three Korean boys we brought in, O, Kwon, and Yang. 100% what you're saying, the physicality, like, when you see him out there, he looked like half the time he got distracted from playing as a striker because he was too busy trying to wrestle people. So that was my biggest knock on him. Like, you look at what he's doing in Belgium, he's doing well, but that was the biggest issue I had. Like, it's going to sound like a bit of a nerd here, but if you get on FIFA or something like that, or EAFC or whatever it's called, and you don't reset to the current squads, you still have O in the Celtic lineup, and he's out there banging in goals because in that game he doesn't wrestle all the time. But in real life, he's too busy trying to suplex people and, puts them in some rear naked chokes and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, he kind of forgets that he's a footballer and not a UFC fighter or whatever. So, yeah, it's good fun. But I think Quan, whenever you saw him, like last season when he was on loan at St Mirren, he was just out there playing some good football and then clattering the odd person here and there. He was perfect alongside Bacchus in the middle of that park. So, yeah, there's definitely that physicality, but Yang was the one I didn't think had the physicality out of all three of them, and he's the one still kicking along at the club. So it's interesting to see.
You saying that with the wrestling maneuvers, I've just got this mental image, and I don't know where it came from. Like, next time we play the Huns, always going to come out as a guest and just do a Stone Cold Stunner on Alec Ray, then just walk up the tunnel. I've just got this mental image, and I can't get it out of my head.
No, Yang's going to come out and go the old switch in music, like what he got when he got that red card against Hart. That's where I was going with that. But yeah, we're looking through here. So Heavy Vibes was saying Luke always looking to make a pass or a run.
Yeah.
And then Maestro is saying, is Jota strong enough to start in Munich? We'll talk about that later on. And then he's also said Munich were lucky to get a draw at Leverkusen. Mahesh is saying Dundee United held their own from the 40th to the 80th minute, losing shots on goal 6-4.
Although the game was done as a contest by that point.
Exactly. We'll see if McCowan gets a call up in a few weeks. And then Mazzano is saying Bernardo injured would have been a problem last season. No problem this year. And then Smell the Glove saying, bringing in a seasoned 26-year-old Scottish player who knows the league ain't a bad move. Sign James Penrice to back up KT if Schlupp ain't staying in the summer. Definitely. That's something that we're going to talk about anyway. So seeing Schlupp's performance in the game, like for me, there's rumours that Taylor has signed a pre-contract with Dinamo Zagreb. He's off, right? It's done. So if that's the case, who's going to be KT's backup? Penrice is a good shout. I still like Jack McKenzie up at Aberdeen because he's like 6'3", 6'4", something different as a left back. So I don't mind him, but I'd be happy with something like Penrice, definitely. What do you reckon, Shane?
Yeah, agree completely. And I think it just sort of ties into the point about actually bringing in players who know this league and equality in this league, right? And we're seeing that with Luke McCowan. Maybe his signing didn't bring much fanfare when we brought him on board, but look at the quality that he's shown on the park since moving from Dundee to Celtic. He's been fantastic every time he's stepped on the park for Celtic, and he's only going to get better. Sure, he might be 26, but there's still plenty of growth for him and plenty of development. And Penrice sounds like a great option to back up KT, and then, similar to kind of next season, if you look that far ahead, that, as we've said all along, KT won't play every game, and there's going to be league games where we're going to need, someone like Penrice to come in, and I think that works perfectly fine. You've got someone who knows the league and their quality. It's a no-brainer for me.
We play 50, 60 games a year, so let's be honest, KT will probably play 35 if he stays fit, and the rest of it we're going to rotate him to protect him. We don't need him to play away against Ross County. We can get someone like Penrice or Schlupp or whoever to play that game and, get him through it. But the thing as well that I look at is I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. Think back to Ronnie's time at the club. Who did he bring in? The three boys from Dundee United. He brought in Shifty, he brought in Mackay Stevens, he brought in Armstrong. None of them were big deals at the time. And have a look what Stu Armstrong went on to do. The other two, not so much. But Mackay Stevens still in the league. He's playing, Killy? So
yeah, he's still around.
The fact of the matter is we can get players within the league. They're good enough. Look at the amount of guys leaving and going over to like Italy and doing well over there. There's nothing wrong with buying seasoned players from within Scotland. And where we say that you were saying that, where they're saying in time about Luke is not a youngster, he's 26. The thing with him is he's only in his second or third season on top flight football.
Mm-hmm.
So until he was 23, he was playing in the lower tiers. So there's that development for him where he gets used to playing first team football in the top flight with Dundee. Now he's at Celtic. So the level goes up again. He's getting an opportunity in Europe. He's getting an opportunity elsewhere. Shane's having a good chuckle here, so something's going on.
I've got the comments to my right, and there's a couple in there that caught my fancy. That's all.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, so you get him in, and then next season there'll be a launching pad for him. But I'm going to keep scrolling through some of these comments here. What do we got here? Yeah, here we go. Maestro saying Penrith looks a good prospect. Schlopp selects left foot is excellent. Mazzano saying Yang is MJ the second. Henrik McClarson, old Yang sign.
Now I've got a mental image of Yang moonwalking. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
It's not just the shirt. Like there's something else going on here. The shirt is a byproduct of something else that's going on here.
I'll just say hallucinogenics are illegal in Japan, and I am not partaking in any, just for the sake of clarity. Okay.
Surely.
I can't comment though to the medicinal effects of Hun tears because I have been overdosing on those lately. So
it doesn't show. Don't worry.
Never would have known. So, Liam, do you want to give us a run through of the first half goals?
Yeah. So Cal Mack, beautiful shot from just inside the box. Great coming through from midfield, and doing what he does best. And then Jota's was just a thing of class, wasn't it? Really, it was just And then that Ida goal, that was magnificent. In different ways, it's like Celtic have their goal of the month competition. One by one, I was like, that's a goal of the month contender. Oh wait, that one was better. No wait, that one was even better. It was like the goals got progressively more spectacular as we went on. It was really good to watch, and really pleased for Big Ida because he's going to be aware of all the chat about how Dyson should be our main man just now. So for him to get that goal is great.
Hey, Liam, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're watching and like Jota scores in the 35th minute, I know it's middle of the night. Did you like fall asleep for about, 35 minutes, miss the whole half time, and the next thing you know, Ida's scoring?
No. What are we talking about?
I said first half goals.
Oh, shit. Sorry, mate. It's been a long day, all right? My brain's burning here.
I'm stirring you. Doesn't matter. So Shane, just thoughts on the second half quickly. Just give us the Cliff Notes / Waffle House version.
There's no such thing as Cliff Notes for me, mate. It's all fairly waffled. Look, I'll keep it brief. The couple of things I noticed about the second half were Dundee came out and they pressed us. And we talked about this in a group chat. Instead of actually sitting back, they pressed us. They looked a lot more competent when they pressed us. I wouldn't say we struggled, but they definitely made it harder for us to play. And the amount of times that they actually pinned us in, and we just had to be a bit more patient than we were in the first half was very noticeable. And I sort of looked at that and went, why on earth would you not do this in the first half? Because it just made it a much more even contest. And we saw Mahesh comment before about how from about the 40th minute onwards, they were in the game basically, and they were, and the press was a big part of that. So I still think we were relatively comfortable, but they definitely made it a bit more difficult for us to play. And I think that is what resulted in us having less possession and less shots on goal for sure. And then the other thing I noticed is Nick Walsh decided to insert himself into the game a little bit in the second half with some pretty horrendous calls, particularly some really poor lack of advantage calls, which were just absolutely baffling. But yeah, they're pretty much, I don't think we were ever under any threat. They never really created anything that was ever going to bring this game out of our control. And the Ida goal was just the icing on top of the cake. So for the most part, we were good, we were solid, but they had a little window where they put us under a bit of pressure.
I'm going to sing for you, Shane. Nick Walsh. What a wanker, what a wanker. He's a wanker, he's a effing wanker. There you go, that's my version.
I love how you say wanker, but you bleep out the fuck. That was quite...
Look, mate, I went...
That was interesting.
There's a reason. Because, yeah. I learnt that
Have
one when I was
I
a
just
kid.
demonetized us? Sorry.
Which word did he bleep out, Liam? I didn't catch that.
What one, Liam? Yeah.
Fire
The one
truck.
the one that starts with F and ends with penalty to Rangers. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, fucking. Yeah, cool. Yeah. No, that was one that was sung back when I was a kid. So that's why I just did that without realizing. Anyway, whatever. So, any players you want to talk about or any other discussion points? You're just talking about Nick Walsh. Any other discussion points from the game, or do you want to just big up a few of the players?
I just wanted to touch on just from the 2 goals in the first half. I just wanted to comment on McCowan and Schlupp's involvement with them, and both of them were crucial to those goals, the Kalmack goal and the Jota goal, respectively, because of the fact of the space they help create. So McCowan does a really good job of creating a space for Kalmack to run into. Granted, the Dundee United defenders sort of sag off a bit and help encourage him to get into the box, which is just insane. But definitely the Jota goal in particular, when he cuts inside, Schlupp just makes a really well-timed run, and that drags one of the Dundee United defenders away and allows that space to Jota to actually go in and then hit it. And I think that's a really sign of a good cohesive team. And we're talking about players that hadn't started together. And, in Schlupp's case, this is like his 3rd game. You've got McCowan creating space for Kalmack. Like, we're talking about that squad cohesion and that kind of the way that they're all gelling together. I think that was a real highlight of that. So, yeah, just wanted to point that out.
I'm going to jump off the back of what you said there about the midfield. Because what I like, it's going to sound weird, but when Luke and Kalmack play together, and then you put Rio in the mix as well, all 3 of them just rotate positions. Like, someone can jump into the 10, someone can be in the 8, one of the others will cover in the 6. So they all can play each of those 3 positions. So it just gives us that versatility. And the fact that Kalmack's goal, every goal he's had this season has been from outside the box. And I was like, hang on, he scored in the box. What's going on here? He's going to get a nosebleed if he does that again. It's just, it was just weird. Like, and then later on, he had a shot with the right foot from outside the box, absolute shank. And I'm like, that's why you shoot with your left, mate. So it's just, but he was on the other side of the pitch to where he normally is. So, yeah, I just think overall the midfield balance and the way they cover for each other and worked with that rotation there was actually allowed us to play fast. But I'm going to bring up this comment. Ida's goal was a belter. The thing as well I want to touch on with Ida is there was one where Jota's beaten a man inside, then went to the byline, then put a cross in, and Ida's had it straight down at the keeper's feet, and somehow it stayed out. There was another time where Ida got the header and just missed. He was actually like someone of Ida's size. He doesn't score a lot with his head. He scores a lot with his feet because he's just a good finisher like that. But it was good to see him getting into positions. And as I said early on, because of Jota being as tricky as he is, they're not able to put both centre backs onto Ida and jam him up like that. So he was able to get the one-on-one with the centre back. And on another day, he could have had 3 or 4 based on headers alone. Like, the setup was great to see, and I really enjoyed watching his performance. Like, he scored, what was it, the 84th minute? I think it was.
Yep,
And
84th minute.
Yep. And with it being in the 84th minute, when Kyogo was there, if he started, he would have been off after 50, 55, 60 minutes. Let's be honest. So that being the case, he's on the pitch. He's able to keep compete and just keep running and doing all that stuff and getting in that position where he's able to score late on with his foot. But he did all the work early on with his headers that the defender's got to sag off him a bit because he's getting into a deep positions around the 6-yard box to compete with some crosses and for headers. So it all worked together. So, yeah, Ida is playing absolute class at the moment as well. So, and with the wingers we've got, it's just making his life a lot easier. Go on, Liam.
Yeah, I'm going to say something a bit controversial here, but I think our team shape. Now, I'm nothing against the wee man. He was a legend, and I wish him well. Our team's got better shape to it with Kyogo not in it anymore. I honestly think so.
He didn't suit Rodgers' game plan. That's why.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Maida
We're a
suits him
better
better
team
as a striker,
without-
and that's odd.
Without Kyogo at the moment.
Yeah. So there we go. Some comments from Maddie is saying Dazen neatly got onto Jota's shot. And then we've got on 76 league goals after 26 games, easily going to get past 100.
Oh, yeah. No problem.
Andrew's saying Jota is a better crosser for Eder, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maddie saying, yeah, he could have had a hat trick. Zanu saying Eder's a player, no doubt. Yeah, so. And then we've got Eder stayed until 85 minutes because Maida is through the middle tomorrow, 100%.
Hope
And that's
so.
how I'm thinking as
Hope
well.
so.
The pressing game that we had against Bayern when he was in the middle, that's the reason for it. The way Dazen is playing, he's going to hit 30 goals soon. Great return for someone mainly out wide. So, yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good result. 3-0. So, who was your man of the match? Shane.
Jota for me. There are definitely a couple of candidates. Luke McCallum is certainly up there, but Jota, particularly first half, I felt he was pretty much involved in every wonderful bit of attacking phase that we had, most certainly down the left, of course, and not to mention topping it off with that wonderful strike. So yeah, Jota for me.
Liam?
I'm going to say Eder. Not just for the goal, but just like you say, he could have easily had a hat trick, but for a wee bit of luck going the other way. I thought he was superb. Really, he stepped up and he's under pressure just now because, like I said, with Dyson pushing to be the main striker, he's under pressure just now and stepped up, had a really solid game and capped it off with a brilliant goal. So, yeah, Eder for me.
And the funny thing was, I thought there was 3 players who could have been man of the match. And Shane said one, Liam said the other. So I will go with Kelmac. Honestly, thought it was could any of those 3 are the correct answers. It depends on how you view the game, but yeah, I thought he's just looking with a bit of when he's got that level of freedom. It's great to see. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Smell the Glove is saying, and Dundee United didn't score any own goals for us. Yep, had to come out as well, so that's another good thing. And Henrik McLaughlin saying teams can't really contain Jota because he's equally good coming inside or going outside. Come on, Liam, I'm waiting for you to make a comment.
No. I'll be good today.
That's what she said. There you go. And then there we go. Manuel Newell will be tossing and turning tomorrow night, shitting himself, dreaming about Maida.
I'm usually just tossing when I dream about my. Sorry. Had to.
Oh, shit. There you go. There's one in every crowd. It's always Liam. So, Liam.
Yes.
I'm going to give you run of the mill here. So,
careful.
On the back of that.
Axel blog. Delusions of adequacy. Celtic and the rivalry myth.
Yes.
Give us a rundown. Plug it.
Right.
Do what you need to do.
Okay, so everyone, when you get after today's show, obviously, please go to axom.net because I'm going to be putting new blogs up there every day from now on. That is going to be my new job, part-time for now, full-time from April. And the first article that I wrote today was basically talking about the myth that Celtic and Rangers are still rivals. We aren't. And I go through it in the article. I talk about how anybody who says that Celtic versus Rangers is a rivalry in its current form is either clinging to nostalgia or they are hopelessly delusional, because there is no empirical basis to say that we are rivals. A rivalry suggests that 2 teams or 2 opposing factions have an roughly equal chance of winning each time they meet. It's not the case with us and them anymore. It suggests that we are on a similar field in terms of ability, in terms of finance, in terms of capacity. We are not. We have always had bigger crowds than they do. We have always made more money than they do when it comes to earning money fairly. And we will soon have more trophies than they do as well, more league titles. Basically, delusions of adequacy. That is the way Rangers are right now. They delude themselves that they are still adequate, and they're not even that anymore. And I just want to give a shout out actually to the reason that I used that title was because a guy that I worked with more than 20 years ago when I was at the Herald as a copy boy, my desk was right next to the picture desk. And the picture editor there was a guy by the name of Dougie Salteri. I've not seen Dougie since my days at the Herald, and I hope he's doing well. If you're listening, Dougie, I don't even know if he's a Celtic fan, but he was a lovely fellow, but he was also one of the most sarcastic people I've ever met, right? And one of the photographers got a photo during a match. This was back in like 2001. And he got a picture of Larsson, scored a goal against Rangers, ran away, tongue out, the classic Larsson celebration, right? And it was just a perfectly framed image of Henrik Larsson. And this photographer says to Dougie, so there you go, Dougie, there's your back page for tomorrow. In fact, you know what? That's probably the photo of the season, isn't it? It's brilliant. Look at it. It's just perfect. And he goes, aye, it's good, son, but don't get delusions of fucking adequacy. And that quote has stuck with me ever since, and I finally get to use it in an article. So thank you, Dougie.
Brilliant. So everyone check that out. Let's keep Liam in a job.
Yes.
Right,
as I said, there will be daily stuff coming, so please keep checking back every day.
So I'm just going through some of the comments here. And where are we? There it is. Smell the glove. Is Celtic's main Glasgow rival now Queen's Park?
I think Partick Thistle might have something to say about that.
Yeah. Well, Partick Thistle's closer to coming up next season than Queen's Park at the moment, so we'll see.
And Mazzano's saying, was I saying the same way Tyson Fury and Julian Clary is a rivalry? Andrew Galea, I agree, Liam. The new Glasgow franchise is not on our level. Expand the league. Don't live in the past.
Oh, I'm going to be writing something about that next week. Yeah, the idea of expanding the league, because that is long overdue. If you look at the way Queen's Park played, last week, you look at the way Falkirk played when they played us in the League Cup earlier this year, you can't tell me that those teams wouldn't bring something to the Premier League. And you can't tell me that they're not any worse than St Johnstone or Kilmarnock or teams like that.
There's teams in the lower tiers, Liam, that actually play football the right way.
Yeah.
They're not these teams that are that used to getting battered by us and the other mob occasionally when Pav gets like 20 penalties, right? Mm. So, or they concede known goals because whatever. So I'm looking at it going, there are teams down there coming up that would bring something to the league. You look at the two you just said, you look at Bruni's team, these guys aren't sitting back parking buses. They're going to get up here and they'd actually come play football.
Yep.
So, and I like that. So, yeah, expand the league, bring it up to 16 teams or something like that. Why not? I'm looking forward to that article, Liam. We'll discuss it more once you put your article out as well.
Yeah. Plus, it would save the Huns money of having to host four scuddings every year. You only have to host 2 then.
But it'll also mean that you've got that. I think one of the things, this is what Willie talked about last week on the Thursday show, was about this, just the repeat fixtures over and over again and feeling like you've played the same teams just a fortnight ago. And that would help with that. If you expand the league, you have more teams, you've got a greater diversity in your fixtures, right? And that'd be wonderful, I think, for the league as a whole. And I won't preempt your article. I'm definitely looking forward to reading it as well. I think no doubt there's going to be some parties, and I say some parties, that would be very much against this because they look at what is currently there and they look at a particular fixture and they basically sort of hang their hat on it every season. And that would probably mean that fixture being diminished in some regards, or at least, being separated out a bit further, and they won't allow that.
I got another view on that though, Shane. And feel free to put this in your article, Liam, and claim it. Like, I don't mind at all. But what I see as the issue is not about certain teams wanting to keep their supremacy and where they are and everything like that, right? The issue I see is going to be teams like your Ross Counties and Livingston, if they're in the top flight, who don't have a lot of money in that and are used to having 4 home games every season, 2 against Celtic, 2 against Rangers, only having one of each potentially. That's where I see the issue, because those clubs are going to be looking and going, well, we get a lot more ticket sales there than if we had like Airdrie or Ayr and, I don't know, say Partick Thistle coming up the road for those games. So that's how I see it. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. So let's cut some more comments here. Shettleston Juniors, our main rivals now.
Yep.
McLaughlin saying Aberdeen's the only team to score at Celtic Park on league business. Clean sheet in every other home game. Who would agree to this in the top flight? They look after their own interest.
Yeah, I understand that side of the argument, and that is something I'm going to delve into as well. So yeah, watch this space coming next week.
You tease.
Robert Gibson, just back from New Zealand. Price of petrol is horrific.
Stop drinking it then.
Jeez.
Sorry.
So McLaughlin saying 14-team league, play each other twice equals 26 games. Split into 2 groups of 7, play each other home and away twice after the split. There's your 38 games. Even better.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll watch this space, Liam. But I think what we'll do is we'll get into the upcoming Champions League game. Playing Bayern Munich in Munich on Tuesday night. So it's a 7 a.m. Wednesday morning for us here in Melbourne. What's that for you, Liam, in Japan? What, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., something like that?
5 a.m., I think. Yeah.
Great fun. So, Shane, what are your general thoughts heading into the game? Do you think we have a chance to overturn the first leg result in this match?
Ever the optimist? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I think we've got the quality. And I think if we score early, we can absolutely overturn it. But the key for me is how we play through that press. I think that press that they put on us in that first half last week was, it just stifled us. Not just the pressing, but the ability to cut off the passing lanes. We found it very, very difficult. We did very well to hold up. Defensively, we were fantastic. And I thought our concentration levels were through the roof, but we just couldn't generate anything going forward. And that's why I think our decisions for the starting 11 are going to be really crucial to how we combat that press and who we actually play up front. But if we score early, we can absolutely overturn this tie. And I genuinely believe that.
Liam?
Yeah, the important thing is that early goal. I was I may be reading too much into this, but I follow Bayern Munich on social media, and I was reading a lot of their fans' comments after the first game, and they were not happy. They thought that a lot of them thought Bayern were lucky to get away with a win. They really felt that the team didn't play as well as they should have. They felt that, Celtic were probably deserved more out of the game. And I think that just goes to show that, like you guys were saying, if we get an early goal, it could really rattle their fans and it could turn the pressure up on them. And that is crucial, because player against player, a straight show, they win, 99 times out of 100. That's the reality. So we need to get inside their heads. We need to defeat them mentally, because I don't think we can beat them physically or skillfully. So it needs to be a mental battle. So we get that early goal, their fans get restless, the players get unsettled, and that's when we could eke out a win.
So I look at it and go, we're a chance, but it's either going to be one of two things. We either got to hit them like we did early on and get that early goal, but this time make it legal, or stay in the game as long as we can, and then get to that last 30 minutes and then just go hell for leather. Like, I called the pod, let's do this, because it's like, what have we got to lose here? We're already losing the tie. Let's just get out there and go for it. But to answer the question, do you think we'll overturn it? This is what Google is saying. Win probability. Bayern is currently at 85% from votes. If it goes to extra time, actually has a double the chance of that happening than it does of Celtic actually winning at 5%. Well, guess what? Google, do one. We're going to win this tie. I'm saying it. Maybe in extra time, but we're going to win this tie. I think they are disjointed. They are missing people. And why not look like a dickhead if I get it wrong? Because I don't care.
We are the 5%. We are the 5%. Let's go. Let's do it.
So, yeah, just looking at it here. So, Maestro saying Amazon Celtic Prime. Andrew's saying same game plan, stay in the contest as long as we can, then go for it. Henrik McLaughlin, Hart says yes, Head says no. Robert Gibson, if Eder starts, we can forget it. Is he your new whipping boy, Robert? I think he's good. Andrew Galea, I can see Maeda intercepting a back pass, foul, red card. Now that would be magic.
I think Robert needs to switch to unleaded.
And then,
just kidding, mate. Love your comments. Keep them coming.
If Eder starts, I'd still play Maeda through the middle, depending on Jota's fitness. So go 2 up top. Rio or Luke to start. We'll discuss that later when we get to our starting lineups, but let us all know in your comments. I'd be happy if we get a scoring draw. Mazzano saying 5% is 1 in 20. We must be due. Yep, we are.
Yep.
And yes, I'm getting clipped. I'm going to be on some Hun podcast. Good. Hey, you guys, look at me. We're going to win. Where are you in the Champions League, though? McLaughlin saying, I've not seen a lot of German teams get flustered at 2-0 down with 15 to go. No. And then he's saying he's not the bad one, but Maeda had him shit in the bed. Oh, here we go. Here's the real question, everyone. Who will replace Taylor as the scapegoat in Europe? Shane, who will it be?
It's a very good question. The two candidates I can think of, AJ, and if he starts, Rio. I'm not saying personally for me, and I don't agree with the whipping boy kind of sentiment around it, but AJ has definitely copped a lot of flack for the goal and then the chance that Harry Kane had last week with the no marking at the back post. But also I tend to find Rio, whenever we have a poor game, particularly at Europe, his passing, or if he doesn't have a good game, he tends to get really highlighted, particularly his passing and his depth of passing. So I'd probably say Rio is more than likely kind of the one under pressure most in terms of being the next potential European whipping boy, but I'd like to think that won't happen.
All the ones I could think of was Rio, and the first name that came to my mind was this one here, Trusty. But then McLaughlin saying pretty much everyone else that would get mentioned is being here, so Scales. And then Robert Gibson saying Engels or Trusty. And I agree with Andrew here. How about we support our players? 100%. I'm doing this to take the piss, mate, at how fickle we are. That's why I brought it up. But, yeah so Shane, I told you how you think we'll talk about that. So are we going to go for it? Are we going to go for it, just hold it for leather press? Are we going to sit back and then try and hit them on the counter? What do you think the game plan will be?
No, we're going to go for it, and they're going to go for it. So you've literally got two teams that are going to be going hell for leather pretty much from the first whistle. First whistle. Jeez, now that's getting clipped. My thistle. I've got a lisp all of a sudden. People with a lisp. I wasn't having a go. Don't go down that path. Anyway, We need to score early. I don't think we're going to sit back and try and hit them on the counter. I think we're going to go and try and even up the tie pretty much from the word go. And I see them trying to get a goal to give themselves a 2-goal buffer pretty much from straight away. So I think you've actually got the two teams literally going at each other, pressing each other like mad, and it's going to break kindly for one of them. And I think it'll be us. I think we're going to score pretty early on. I think we're going to make it 2-2. And then I can see us putting in a bit more of a controlled performance. And it might then look a little bit similar to the first half last week with them trying to get that third goal and us kind of just holding them off a bit. And eventually that press is, for me, I don't think that press that they can sustain it for a full 90. It's just that intense. There's no disrespect. It's just that intense a press that I think then later in the second half, we'll have the ability to actually get in behind a little bit more. And if we're not, and we need to go to set pieces, then Ida comes on. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I can see both teams looking to score pretty early on.
Liam, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Shall I give a prediction of the score?
Not yet.
All right, okay. But I agree that it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think we will come out on top.
So my next question, Liam, was going to be what areas of play will have the biggest impact, and are you expecting this to be a high-scoring match? So you just answered one that it's high-scoring. So what about the other one? What area is going to have the biggest impact?
I think big Casper Schmeichel is going to save a penalty at some point. I've just got a feeling. So I think it'll be his night. It's, you've got two of the best goalkeepers in Europe facing off against each other, him and Manuel Neuer, both a similar age, both absolutely world class. And I think whoever has the better game of those two is going to determine the outcome of the tie. So tale of two goalkeepers as far as I'm concerned.
And both great with the ball at their feet too when being pressed. They don't mind holding on to it till the very last second. So, it's a gift and the curse. So really, who's going to be cursed? Who's going to be gifted? Who's going to get away with it and who's not? It's going to be interesting. So we'll go our starting lineups then. So I'll go to you first, Shane. What's your starting lineup?
Okay, so Schmeichel in goal, of course. At left back, I've got Schlupp starting. I've got Team America as the centre halves, and I've got AJ at right back. Midfield trio, I've got Rio, Kalmack, and Engels. Up top, I've got Jota starting on the left. I've got Maeda through the middle, and I've got Kun on the right.
Wow. Nice. Liam, what are you thinking?
Pretty much the same team, but I would have Maeda starting on the left and Ida through the middle. But I think about, maybe an hour into the game, we switch it up and bring on Jota.
I'm sitting on a fence here. I honestly don't know which way I'm going to go with the front thing. Everything else you guys have said, I'm happy with. Midfield, happy with. Defense, goalkeeper situation, happy with. I'm flip-flopping here. Like, you could ask me in 20 minutes time and I'll be saying, yep, start Maeda at striker. But then you ask me now, I'm saying, yeah, Ida, to wear them down a bit. So then when you get that change of pace coming at them, so Maeda's speed going up against fresh centre backs, I'm like, nah. But then you let guys like Dyer and whoever their other centre back, I can't remember his name is, get a little bit tired, and then you unleash Maeda onto him. We'll probably get more out of that. So at the moment, I'm leading towards Ida starting with Maeda on the left, Kun on the right. But as I said, in 20 minutes' time, I might be completely different and saying Maeda through the middle, Kun and Jota, and let's just go and, turn this into a game of like the Road Runner, where get stuck in basically. So yeah, I'm finding it hard to figure out what we're going to do up front. Either option works for me. So score prediction though. So it's 2-1 on aggregate. We're going to win this game and tie. And we're going to win it 3-2 on the night. Is it still away goals?
No.
No.
Well, then we're going to win it 4-2 on the night then. Liam, what's your score prediction?
We're going to win 3-1, and Casper is going to save a Harry Kane penalty in the last minute. I'm allowed to dream. Come on.
Liam, you'll be that South Park meme. If that
Yes, the
happens.
South Park meme. Yep.
And Shane, what's your score prediction?
I had 3-1 as well. I think if we're going through goal scorers, are you happy for us to go through goal scorers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going 3-1. I think Maeda scores pretty early on. I think Jota gets a second. We're 2-0 up. Michael Elisa is a quality player, and I think he's going to net one for Bayern again. And then Big Adam Eder is going to score the winner.
Oh, I hope so.
So I'm just going to bring up some of the comments here. Andrew Galea is saying we'll win 1-0 against 10 men on penalties. Pegleg Lonigan saying I expect we'll go out. I just hope we give a good account of ourselves. McLaughlin saying Casper, AJ, CCV, Trusty Schlupp, McGregor, Engels, Hatade, Kun, Maeda, Jota. Mazzano is saying Schlupp, Jota, and Maeda all start. I'm certain about that, and I'm a Taylor defender.
Yeah.
Andrew's saying Maeda on the left for defensive duties. Pete McGee saying don't agree. I think Jota will be on the bench and Eder will start. Not sure about left back. Robert Gibson saying Schlupp is too tall for our left back position. It is reserved for those of midget stature only.
We know what kind of websites Robert looks up in his spare time. Sorry.
And then we've got here Maestro saying just win, please. Pete McGee saying stop with the nonsense. We're talking about Bayern, not St. Johnson. We're just carrying on, mate.
We're being very optimistic. Don't get us wrong, mate. We are being very optimistic. These are green and white tinted specs to the hill.
100%. Do I expect us to win the tie overall? Probably not. But we're going to.
Hey!
Had to. So
if we don't, you can always Hulk out with that light.
No, you don't want me ripping any shirts off and everything like that. People will rip their eyes out. Public service. Yeah, so basically we've got 4-1 Bayern. Can't see any of these scorelines, guys, but I'd love it. 3-1 Bayern's too big. You guys are on it, man.
Yeah.
The whole thing is called tongue-in-cheek, boys. Everyone listening, do you realise that, I honestly do not think we're going to win. Like, if it's a draw, happy days. I'm being 100% honest. But I can dream that we're going to win 4-2 and get through. That's why I'm doing this. Genuinely, if we had a draw, I'd be like, okay, that's progress. We didn't get absolutely pumped away in Europe, right? But the thing is, I'm a realist. We're Celtic fans. We know Celtic away in Europe is always fun. So I'm just trying to have fun with it here. But yeah, somehow if we do win, even better. Pegleg saying here, we are still a work in progress at this level. The more we are exposed to this level, the more we'll improve if Rodgers is backed. Big question there. Last 4 words, if Rodgers is backed.
Yes.
That's the biggest disclaimer. Henrik McLaughlin, 100% Japanese Jesus. There it is. Let's get on with it. I reckon that we could win, but I doubt it's going to happen. So we'll go to our final thoughts to wrap up the pod here. So, Liam, do you want to go your final thought first?
Yeah, I'm just going to be very selfish here and give a gratuitous plug to my 2 pet projects. So, axom.net for daily blog posts and Tartan Samurai Gaming for my YouTube channel. Please give follows to both of them because I'm putting stuff on both of them every day. I am about 170 short of getting my 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So anybody could follow me and help me out, that would be much appreciated.
Somebody, anyone, help him out. Yeah, you know it. So, Shane, your final thought?
Yep, music related. New Manic Street Preachers album dropped last week's Critical Thinking. I think it's their 15th album overall. It's a wonderful record. I've given it a spin 4 or 5 times now, and it's brilliant. So, Manic Street Preachers, Critical Thinking, check it out.
So, I said early on about work trip, right? And that I would mention it later. So, when you're on a work trip and you're on a boat in the middle of Sydney Harbour, and the options are to win the overall team building thing, to stay dry or jump off the boat fully clothed into the harbour, you know what your boy did here. I was in the harbour. Legends, it's how we roll. Have a great one, everyone. Hail, hail, and we'll see you in the next pod.
Oh, hell.
Hell.